Shipman, Purdue Extension, Ohio County Health and Human Sciences and 4-H Youth Development Educator. And with me today is our Nutrition Education Program Assistant, Trina Josar. And today we are going to talk to you all about the dangers of cross-contamination when it comes to food safety. According to the CDC, nearly 3,000 people perish each year because of foodborne related diseases and illnesses. And so what Trina is going to talk about today is how we can prevent cross-contamination from happening in and around our kitchen. So Trina, I'm going to turn it over to you.
4 elements, and we're going to go over those right now. So the first one is to clean. Before you start preparing any food, you want to make sure your workspace is cleaned before and after. Cut up some lettuce.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. So
Trina, did you wash your hands?
I did wash my hands.
Okay.
For how long?
For 20 seconds.
20 seconds.
Warm
that's
water
right.
and soap. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've had people ask me, you know, if I run out of soap, is it okay just to use the sanitizer? No, that's really not going to kill the germs, so you want to make sure that you are using the soap and wash it for 20 seconds. So I learned this a long time ago. If you hit that in the middle, then that pops out very easily. Look at that.
I just learned that today. Well, that's cool.
Oh, well, there you go. So that's an easy way to do it. And then you can just start cutting your lettuce, and then, you know what, we're gonna have like a chicken salad. And this is fresh chicken, but we're gonna pretend that it is cooked just for this bit. Okay, so now I'm gonna start cooking. Do you see anything wrong yet? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do not want to use the same cutting board that you're cutting your fresh fruits or vegetables on. Now, if you're limited to one cutting board, then just make sure you wash it along with your knife before you go ahead and start your next, whatever you're going to be cutting up.
Something to think about with this too, Trina, we got to think about is like, you know, our foods that don't take any preparation, like our fresh fruits and vegetables, we definitely don't want to mix it up with the raw chicken juices or anything like that, because it's considered that cross-contamination, where those juices get onto those foods and there's no preparation to where we fix those fruits and vegetables.
Right, and sometimes when you're in the kitchen, everybody loves to cook, and you get busy talking, or you're on your phone, or you're watching maybe a video, or watching TV. I don't know if anybody caught it, but I did just pick up the knife and start cutting this chicken with the same knife I had. So what did I just do?
Cross-contamination.
I cross-contaminated, which means that could get you very sick, and like Shannon said, it could make you die.
Yeah.
So if it's unpreventable, that's what we want to do. So now that I did that, we're going to put the knife over here so we don't use it again.
So, and Trina, just so you know, those that are the most susceptible to foodborne illnesses tend to be children under the age of 5. So that's why daycares have to be really careful. And then the elderly, because their immune systems are compromised. And even those that are maybe are going through chemotherapy, things like that, where their immune system is compromised, they are more susceptible to foodborne illness. So it's very important when we're preparing food for them to make sure that we follow these 4 steps that you're talking to us about.
Exactly. So the first one was to clean, and then the second one is to separate. So when you're in the stores and you're actually buying your food, you want to separate your food. So say I'm going to make a chicken salad. You know, we're ahead now. We're going to buy the chicken, we're going to buy the lettuce. So I got my shopping cart and I throw the lettuce in there, because normally when you walk in the store, there's your fruit and vegetables. So I got my lettuce on top, and then I go to the meat department, I grab my chicken and I put it on top. Now, I just cross-contaminated these two, because if the juice from the chicken gets on your lettuce, that could cross-contaminate, and then there's so many different ways that you can get the foodborne illness.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that we don't think about, like, you know, maybe even taking the trash out at home. If you take the trash out, you know, before you took it out, you probably pushed it in there to tie it up, to take it outside. When you come back in, you want to make sure you wash your hands again, because if you don't, and then you go to make a sandwich, maybe for your friends or your children, then what happens? Well, you don't have no children. Okay. So. But for all you adults watching out there.
Younger siblings, it could be younger siblings.
Yes, the younger siblings. So you just want to make sure you wash your hands all the time. Just try to get in that habit. And especially, you know, if you're maybe getting a job, they have the signs all over the place. Make sure you wash your hands before you go back to work. And that is exactly why, because you want to prevent any kind of food poisoning.
And you also want to wash your hands, like if you're cutting the lettuce and then you're moving right to the chicken, you also want to make sure you wash your hands in between, because something could be on that lettuce that could then contaminate that chicken or anything like that. So you always want to make sure you wash your hands in between moving to different foods as well.
Yeah, and a lot of things we don't think about too is washing. The USDA recommends that anything that has a peeling on it, that you want to wash it. Because if you think about it, you know, how it came over on the trucks, it comes to your store, how many different people touched your bananas or touched the oranges, touched different things that have peelings. You want to just make sure you wash those really good. So, not with soap, just rinse them off really good. Yeah, and then you're preventing it as well, because I never really thought about it, but there's probably about maybe 6 to 8 different people that actually touch those boxes of food until they get out into the store on the display.
That's a really good point. So
yeah, and another thing USDA recommends is not washing the chickens, because that could actually spread more of the germs when you put it in the sink, because not everybody's sink is totally sterile and clean. So if you think about it, you take that chicken and you put it in the sink and you start washing it,
it splashes.
And there could be germs in there from before whatever was in that sink. So it's a hard habit actually for me to get into, because I always did wash my chicken, but now it will actually, if there is any bacteria on it, when you cook it, bake it, grill it, however you prepare the chicken, it will kill off any of that bacteria.
Cool. We're getting ready to move on to step 3. The first 2 steps though was that we were going to clean and then we were going to separate.
Right, which we did. Okay, so the next one is going to be cooking, and you want to make sure if you have a meat thermometer at home, if your parents have one, if they don't, it might be something really good that you want to get, because you want to make sure your food is at the correct temperature, because if it's not, there's a good possibility that you start eating chicken that's a little raw, that could get you very, very sick. And since we have the chicken here, when you put your meat thermometer in there, in case you never used one, you want to put it in the center of the meat, and you want to avoid the bones. Sitting there for a little second, and then it'll register, and it should be at 165. That's for poultry. So to chill it. We just did cook it. Okay, let's get with it. Okay, so we're gonna chill it, which means we're gonna put it in the refrigerator. You only want to let your food just sit out for maybe up to 2 hours.
So Trina, something else to think about too when we're talking about cooking, if you throw chicken in the microwave or any type of meat, once you cook it in the microwave and you thawed it in the microwave, it's best to cook it right away, because we don't want to let it sit, because it's already starting to come up to temperature and it's at that dangerous level where bacteria can start to grow, so we need to get it cooked immediately. Same with your hamburger, same with turkey, same with anything like that. You always want to make sure you cook it. And what's the best way to thaw? If you're going to thaw like hamburger out or chicken, what's the best way to thaw?
Best way is in your refrigerator, just on a plate on the lowest shelf in your refrigerator. Because if you think about it, sometimes when you put things in the refrigerator and you put it on the top shelf, you'll have that drip.
Yeah.
And you don't want any of that in the refrigerator, because then you have another mess you have to clean up. But you put it on the bottom shelf and let it thaw that way. A lot of people put it on their countertops, which is not advised.
Trina, thank you so much for sharing with us today about this cross-contamination. And what are those 4 steps again, so that we all remember it? It's clean,
separate,
cook, and
chill.
chill.